Ladies and gentlemen, gratitude is more than just a polite gesture. It is the foundation upon which reality is shaped. When I discovered this truth, I realized that gratitude is not a reaction, but a creative force. It is the secret key to unlocking the unseen and bringing it forth into the tangible world. It is not just an emotional response to receiving something, it is a state of being, a consciousness that shapes the very fabric of reality. Most people live in the illusion that they must first see results before they can feel grateful. But this is an error of perception. The truth is the opposite. Gratitude is the cause, not the effect. When you embody gratitude as a state of consciousness, you align yourself with the reality you wish to experience. You are no longer waiting for circumstances to change. You are changing yourself from within, and the outer world must follow. Everything in life responds to the consciousness you hold. If you are grateful only when something happens, you remain bound to the external world, reacting rather than creating. But when you make gratitude your default state, you no longer depend on outer conditions to feel joy, peace, or abundance. You carry those states within you, and because consciousness is the only reality, the world has no choice but to reflect that inner state back to you. Consider for a moment what it means to truly live in gratitude. It is not merely saying thank you for what you have. It is assuming the feeling of already having all that you desire. It is waking up each day and knowing beyond any doubt that you are already blessed, already provided for, already living the life you have imagined. This knowing is not wishful thinking. It is the very act of creation itself. When I apply gratitude as a state of consciousness, I do not wait for circumstances to change before I feel grateful. If I desire something, I begin by giving thanks for it as if it is already mine. I do not concern myself with how or when it will arrive, for I know that the outer world is but a reflection of my inner state. I persist in this gratitude, knowing that it is already done. Soon my world shifts, and what was once unseen becomes visible. This is not a passive practice. It requires unwavering faith. It means refusing to be swayed by appearances. If you seek financial abundance, but your current reality shows lack, you must not dwell in that lack. You must assume the feeling of already being abundant and live in that assumption with gratitude. The moment you do, you have planted the seed. The outer world may not change instantly, but it must conform to the new state you hold within. When you make gratitude a way of life, you no longer pray in desperation or hope for change. You know that all things are already yours. You do not plead for love, success, or happiness. You give thanks that they are already present in your life. And because you have accepted them in consciousness, they must become your physical reality. Then is not about what you have, but who you are. It is a declaration of your faith in the unseen, a recognition that you are the creator of your world. When you shift into gratitude, you shift into alignment with your highest good. You stop chasing and start receiving. You stop struggling and start allowing. The entire universe responds to the one who lives in gratitude, for they have already claimed their blessings. This is the law in action. You do not need to force, beg, or struggle. Simply assume the feeling of already having all that you seek and remain in that state. Hold gratitude not as a reaction, but as a way of being. The world must shape itself around the consciousness you occupy. Everything is already yours. Accept it with gratitude, and it must come to pass. The power of assumption is the secret behind all manifestation. Whatever you assume to be true, whether consciously or unconsciously, becomes your reality. Your external world is not separate from you. It is a direct reflection of the beliefs and feelings you hold within. If you assume lack, you will experience lack. If you assume abundance, abundance must follow. This is not a matter of chance or luck, but a fundamental law of consciousness. Most people live under the illusion that they must first see proof before they believe something is real. They wait for success before they feel successful. They wait for love before they feel loved. They wait for wealth before they feel abundant. But this way of thinking only keeps them trapped in their current circumstances, constantly reacting to the world rather than shaping it. The truth is that the assumption comes first and reality follows. When I use gratitude to manifest, I do not wait for something to appear before I give thanks. I assume it is already mine. I feel the joy, the relief, the fulfillment, as if my desire has already been granted. This assumption is not pretending. It is the creative act itself. It is the seed that once planted must grow. Think of it this way. If you plant an apple seed, you do not question whether an apple tree will grow. You know that within that tiny seed is the full potential of the tree. You water it, nurture it, and trust in the natural process. The same is true of your assumptions. When you assume something with absolute conviction, you have planted the seed of that reality. The outer world may not change instantly, but the process has already begun. I have seen this law work time and time again in my life. When I desired financial abundance, I did not wait for money to appear before feeling wealthy. I assumed the feeling of already being prosperous. I imagined myself handling money freely, living in ease, and feeling grateful for the abundance that was already mine. I persisted in this feeling even when my outer circumstances showed the opposite. And soon, opportunities arose, doors opened, and my reality shifted to match my assumption. This law applies to all aspects of life. If you desire love, you must assume you are already deeply loved. If you desire success, you must assume you are already successful. You cannot hold on to the belief that you are unworthy, unloved, or struggling and expect life to give you the opposite. The world can only mirror what you hold within. Gratitude is the most powerful way to reinforce your assumption. When you give thanks for something as if it already exists, you cement your belief in its reality. You are not wishing or hoping, you are claiming it as already yours. The moment you do this, your consciousness shifts, and reality must follow. Many fail because they waver in their assumption. They allow doubt, fear, or external circumstances to dictate their state of being. But true manifestation requires persistence. It is not enough to assume something for a moment and then return to old patterns of thinking. You must remain firm in your assumption, regardless of what the outer world appears to show. When you understand this, you no longer chase after things. You no longer seek fulfillment outside of yourself. You know that everything you desire is already within you, waiting to be expressed. The world is not happening to you, it is happening through you. And the moment you assume something with gratitude and certainty, it is already done. Hold fast to your assumption. Give thanks as though your desire is already fulfilled. Walk in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and the world must conform to your belief. This is the power of assumption, and it never fails. Living in the end with gratitude is the highest form of faith. It is the act of claiming what you desire as already yours, not in some distant future, but now. Most people believe they must wait for their desires to materialize before they can feel grateful. But this is a misunderstanding of how reality is created. The truth is that you must feel gratitude first for the fulfillment of your desire before it can manifest in the physical world. The feeling is the cause and the manifestation is the effect. Everything in your life is a reflection of the state of consciousness you occupy. If you desire something, you must assume the feeling of already having it. This is what it means to live in the end. It is not about wishing or hoping. It is about knowing. It is about walking, talking, thinking, and feeling as though your desire is already accomplished. This is not make-believe. It is the law of consciousness in action. When I desire something, I do not dwell on the absence of it. I do not entertain thoughts of lack or question when it will appear. Instead, I enter into the feeling of already having it. I allow myself to experience the joy, relief, and gratitude as though it is already mine. This inner conviction is what brings it into form. The world must shape itself to match my inner reality, for that is the nature of consciousness. Many fail because they continue to live in a state of waiting. They hope for change, but do not assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. They pray for healing while still feeling sick. They seek love while still feeling poor. They do not realize that by doing so, they are reinforcing the very state they wish to escape. The law is precise. Whatever you assume to be true with feeling, you will experience. Living in the end means you do not waver, no matter what the outer world appears to show. You do not look to circumstances for confirmation, because you already know that your assumption is reality. You persist in the feeling of fulfillment, and soon the outer world will be forced to reflect that assumption back to you. The moment you assume something and truly feel it to be real, it is already done. The only delay is the time it takes for that assumption to harden into fact. I have applied this law countless times, and it has never failed. When I desired success, I did not wait for opportunities to prove that I was successful. I assumed that I was already living my dream, that I was already receiving the rewards of my work. I gave thanks in advance, not as a hopeful wish, but as a certainty. And in time, everything shifted to match my assumption. Doors opened, the right people appeared, and the outer world conformed to my inner state. Gratitude is the key to making this process effortless. When you are truly grateful for something, you accept it as real. You do not question or doubt it. You know it is already yours. When you give thanks in advance, you are aligning yourself with the reality you wish to experience. You are telling the universe that you already have what you seek, and because consciousness is the only reality, the world must mirror that assumption back to you. The reason gratitude is so powerful is that it leaves no room for doubt. If you truly believe something is yours, you feel grateful for it. You do not ask when it will come or how it will happen, because you know it is already done. The feeling of gratitude seals the assumption in your consciousness, making it impossible for anything else to manifest. This is how reality is shaped. You do not need to struggle, beg, or force things into being. You need only assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, give thanks for its realization, and persist in that state. The world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match your inner conviction. Live in the end. Feel grateful now. Know that what you seek is already yours, and it must come to pass. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it is an act of creation. It is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, the invisible. The law of consciousness states that whatever you accept as true within yourself must be expressed in the world around you. When you use gratitude as a tool, you are not simply being thankful for what you already have. You are bringing into reality what is not yet seen. The world teaches people to be grateful for what they receive, but the law teaches that gratitude is how you receive. Most people wait for circumstances to change before they feel grateful. They wait for money to come, for success to arrive, for love to appear, and only then do they express gratitude. But this is a mistake. Gratitude is not a response to external conditions. It is the cause of those conditions. When you feel grateful before something appears, you are claiming it as already yours. You are assuming it into being. The law is precise and unfailing. Every thought and feeling you hold consistently is shaping your reality. If you constantly dwell in thoughts of lack, struggle, and limitation, you will experience lack, struggle, and limitation. But when you shift your consciousness and assume the state of already having what you desire, everything changes. Gratitude is the most powerful way to do this. When you give thanks in advance, you impress upon your subconscious mind that your desire is already fulfilled. And because the subconscious mind does not question, it simply accepts and expresses, the outer world must conform to your assumption. I have seen this law work in my own life countless times. When I wanted to manifest financial abundance, I did not complain about what I lacked. I did not wait for money to appear before I felt rich. Instead, I assumed the state of wealth. I felt grateful for the abundance I already had, no matter how small. I walked with the feeling of financial freedom, gave thanks for the prosperity that was already mine in consciousness, and soon my outer world shifted to match that state. This law applies to everything: health, relationships, success, happiness. If you want to manifest love, you must not dwell in loneliness. You must not look at your life and say, "I am alone." Instead, you must assume the feeling of already being loved. You must give thanks for the deep, fulfilling relationships that are already yours in consciousness. You must walk as though love surrounds you, and soon the right people will be drawn into your life. This is the law in action. It does not require effort, struggle, or force. It requires only that you hold the assumption of already having what you seek. When you do this, you do not need to chase after things. They come to you. You do not need to force change in the outer world. You change within, and the outer world follows. Many people fail to manifest because they waver in their assumption. They allow external circumstances to dictate their state of mind. They feel abundant one moment, but allow doubt to creep in the next. They express gratitude briefly, but then return to feelings of lack. This is why persistence is key. The law responds to the state you dwell in, not the one you visit occasionally. When you hold the feeling of gratitude consistently, when you live in the state of already having your desire, it must become your reality. then is more than just a practice. It is a way of being. It is a declaration of faith in the unseen. It is the evidence of things not yet visible but already real in consciousness. When you give thanks before receiving, you are proving that you believe in the reality of your assumption. And because the world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner state, it must bring forth that which you have already claimed. Everything you seek is already yours. Assume it, feel it, give thanks for it, persist in that state, and the world will reflect it back to you. This is the law, and it never fails. The truth is simple yet profound. Your world is a mirror reflecting the consciousness you hold within. Gratitude is not just a reaction to receiving blessings. It is the force that brings those blessings into your life. It is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, the cause before the effect, the feeling that shapes your reality. When you assume the state of already having what you desire and give thanks for it in advance, you activate the law that governs all creation. You do not need to struggle, force, or chase. You need only to accept, assume, and persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The moment you do, reality begins to shift, and what was once invisible becomes visible. Most people live by sight, believing only in what they can see. But those who understand the law know that what they see is only the result of past assumptions. The key to true manifestation is to live by faith, to assume the feeling of already having what you seek, and to express gratitude as though it is already done. Hold firm in this understanding. Do not waver, do not doubt, do not let external circumstances dictate your state of being. Live in gratitude, not as a fleeting emotion, but as a state of consciousness. Know that all you seek is already yours, and by the law of consciousness it must come to pass. You are the creator of your reality. The power is within you. Assume it, claim it, give thanks for it, and watch as the world rearranges itself to match the truth you hold within.